and now you can start your
All
video.
right. Okay. Well, hello, hello. I am here today with a very special guest, my friend Ben Azadi. How are you doing today?
An honor to speak with you and collaborate with you. So thanks for the invitation.
Busy these days. Congratulations on your new book with Hay House, Metabolic Freedom, which is doing amazing. New York Times bestseller list. Yeah.
For your amazing support. Thank you for flying all the way to Miami for the book launch party. It was so nice seeing you there.
so, Ben, like for those folks who might not know you, tell us who are you and what is your purpose?
Ben Azadi, and I am your friend, first and foremost. I am an author and a speaker. I'm somebody who's in the metabolic health space, such as yourself, Christina. But for most of my life, was not healthy. I came from a background of being obese physically, obese mentally. I was actually in that space for 20 plus years. And 17 years ago, I took responsibility. I overcame a lot of those challenges and setbacks, and I got healthy. In 9 months, I lost 80 pounds. I went from being really obese and unhealthy to being very fit and healthy in 9 months. And that's what got me into the health space. I became very fascinated with how the metabolism works, fat loss, hormones, inflammation. And ever since then, I have just been studying and teaching and learning and unlearning and relearning. Now I am a speaker and an author. As you referenced, I have a brand new book called Metabolic Freedom, which is out into the world. And I'm just so passionate and lit up to deliver the message of these ancient healing strategies like ketosis, fasting, and essentially finding ways to remove the interference so we could allow the human body to heal itself, which is it's designed to heal itself. God built the body to be self-healing. Our job is to remove the interference and allow the body to go into healing mode, and that's what I'm excited to talk about today. And I know that's exactly what you teach as well, Christina.
It's the literally the most important topic right now because 93% of Americans now. It used to be what 88%. Now it's climbing. But what is metabolic health? What how do we define it?
Labs and blood work and metrics like that. But I think even before you even go that route, which is not a bad route, but it's how you feel. You know, God designed the body to thrive, to wake up in the morning and your energy levels are already perfect. And those energy levels, they last throughout the entire day. No crashes, no slumps. You don't have to rely on stimulants, 4 hour energy drinks, Red Bull, food for energy. No, your body's producing the right amount of energy. When you eat food, you convert that food into energy. You burn the excess as energy. You're not storing extra fat. That's metabolic health. Our lab markers look great. We have sensitive insulin levels. We have low inflammatory levels. We have sharp thinking and we're productive and we're our true personality. Unfortunately, as you mentioned, only 7% of us feel that way in the US. 93% of Americans have metabolic dysfunction. But that's metabolic freedom. That's metabolic health. And everybody could achieve that, whether you are 21, 71, 91, male, female, whatever your health history is, and wherever you live in the world, you could achieve it. And we talk a lot about how to do that, and we'll talk about it today.
You say are the biggest impediments to metabolic health? What is getting in the way for people? Is it strictly the food? What else is going on? We know the food's pretty toxic, but what else is going on, do you think?
Because we have a lot of, you mentioned toxins, we have a lot of toxins in our environment, and our food supply is the perfect delivery system for those toxins. So we know these foods are highly processed. They contain mold, heavy metals, glyphosate, high fructose corn syrup. These are processed artificial ingredients, inflammatory ingredients that we're not designed to eat. So I would start there. And I always like giving an example of, all right, when you go to the grocery store, let's paint a picture here. When you go to a grocery store and you look at a potato, for example, and you look at the ingredients list of a potato, you see that there's just one ingredient listed. It's a potato. But when you go and buy potato chips, there are 20, 30 ingredients because now it's processed and it contains these artificial ingredients and now it's inflammatory. Avocado is just the avocado. The beef is just the beef. The egg is just the egg. So, a simple thing that we could all start to do is to buy mostly, or if not all of your ingredients, all of your groceries should be single ingredient groceries, just real whole food. And then that gets you to, okay, how many carbohydrates should I have? Should I do keto? Should I do low carb? And we could get to that. But I would first say, if you're a complete beginner, buy single ingredient foods and then you kind of master that, get some momentum, and then we could take you to the next step in your journey here.
I totally agree with you. If people focused, they started with whole foods, and that is, a single ingredient food in all of its edible parts, we we likely wouldn't end up with metabolic dysfunction. Um, so this is a little, maybe a little side journey. Um, what are your thoughts on the GLPs like Ozempic and Manjaro and what?
Interesting. It's a very very popular thing happening these days. Yeah, I have mixed feelings about it. I'm in no way, shape, or form an expert in this field, so I just know from what I've seen with the doctors I've worked with, some of the research I did. But I'm not somebody who uses it or recommends it or prescribes it, or so I'm not an expert in the field. But my thought is this, and I want to hear your thoughts too. Um, there might be a place for him in in certain situations. So I've heard from many people who have used them to help with brain fog, neurological conditions, even long COVID at low doses. And then also for people who are just they don't want to make the changes. Like they need something to help kickstart them and get them some momentum. There might be a fit. Okay, take some Ozempic, get some small wins there, lose some weight, and maybe that'll help them then change their lifestyle behaviors and make better choices. Okay, those are two scenarios that might work. I don't know, but I also know that there are a lot of side effects to these drugs. I also know that there's the Ozempic butt, the Ozempic face. It's the muscle loss. Yeah, you're losing weight, but you're losing muscle, which Christina, not a good idea. And we don't have long term studies on these things. So personally, for me, I always love to go the natural route. I always like to look at lifestyle, nutrition, movement, mindset, sleep before I incorporate any medication. Plus, it's a very expensive medication. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. But what are your thoughts on it these days, Christina?
Short term applications for it. But we know that the medications don't actually change your habits and relationship with food, and they just send a very loud signal to diminish appetite, and may also, yes, help with lowering blood sugar. But ultimately, it's you and you bring yourself with you wherever you go. So until you do that internal work, I don't think the medication is doing that work for you. Although it does quiet the noise for some people, they still have to go and make good choices. So I'm in the same boat as you. Mixed feelings. I've seen it be very a helpful tool for some of my clients who are really, really struggling and are very, very overweight. I see also a lot of folks, especially around where I live, who really don't need it, and they're on it, just to lose, 10 pounds. Um, and yeah, and it's like quite dramatic. You can tell those people who those people are, and they're on it. And I feel like those folks really just should just do the work, because but anyway, so my personal interests are moving towards more like longevity and healthy aging, although this weight loss conversation is very important still, because so many people are struggling. But besides amazing metabolic health, what what do you feel are your most important hacks or tools for healthy aging?
using your thoughts to heal the body is one of the most important things we can do, because there are 60,000 thoughts we have every day. And yeah, it's crazy. 60,000, right? That is a lot. That's what psychiatrists estimate. And also estimate that out of those 60,000 thoughts we have every day, 90% of those thoughts are the same thoughts from yesterday, meaning we're not thinking anything new, we're just going through the motions. And about 85% of those, all the thoughts we have are about, they're negative thoughts, thinking. And your thoughts, we know this from Dr. Bruce Lipton, who's a world renowned cell biologist. Every single thought, all 60,000 every single day, are frequencies that are sending signals directly to your DNA. And if it's a angry, hateful, resentful, bitter thought, that frequency that is being sent to your DNA signals to your DNA to produce inflammatory proteins, which shortens your telomeres, damages your DNA, and shortens your lifespan with a single thought. But if the thought is grateful, loving, abundant, happy, healing, same signal is sent, but now it produces anti-inflammatory proteins and protects your telomeres, and your DNA does not get damaged. So you could actually extend your lifespan. You could burn fat. You could lower inflammation. You could heal really serious diseases with your thoughts, because it's the greatest biohack that we have, because there's so many of them. So I would start there. Like, if you're not working on the mindset, if you're not working on your subconscious mind and your belief system and your self-image, you could be doing all the keto and taking all the supplements in the world. You're going to find a way to sabotage yourself. You're going to find a way to go off track. But when you work on the self-image and you do the inner work, it's an inside-out job. So I think that is a big part of the puzzle there. But then what's included in that is having a purpose in your life, because when you have purpose, you have the energy, you have the vitality, and I believe it'll extend your lifespan. We know that people that retire, they end up actually dying a lot sooner after retirement, because there's nothing they're looking forward to. Also, people who go to jobs they hate, it's one of the leading causes towards stress and heart attacks and strokes. So having purpose and living on purpose with that purpose is also one of the best things you can do for health and longevity. I live by it. I know you do as well, Christina. And once you find that purpose, I mean, you have all the energy in the world to live that purpose. Determines your thoughts and your belief system and your habits, and essentially it results in your destiny. It's your it starts with your environment. So I cleaned up my environment. Anybody in my life who was taking me back to the old version of me, either I cut them out of my life or set boundaries with them, and looks at, like, I would explain to them, I'm no longer drinking. I'm no longer doing this. These are the goals I want to achieve. And if they were on board, great. If they were not on board, then I would cut them out of my life. It's very difficult to do that, but I had to do that because your environment will shape your thoughts and your belief system. And then I just started surrounding myself with books. And back then there was not podcasts and audiobooks, but physical books. So I would just read authors and read these books and just create this new environment of amazing authors and mentors that I never even met, but I just read their book. And then we could do that with audiobooks and podcasts and interviews like this. So it's the input. You want to just keep getting the proper input, and you're not going to be perfect. But if you could flip it around, let's say you're getting 90% bad input right now, maybe 10% good input. What if you could flip that and have maybe 10% bad input, the people that maybe are family members in your life that you can't cut out, but you control 90% of the input. When you're driving in your car, you're listening to an audiobook. When you're washing dishes or walking your dog, you're listening to an audiobook. So that's what I did, and I continue to do it to this day. I study every single day. I know you're a big student as well, because the more you do that, you're going to start to think differently, have a different belief system, and that's how you're going to change your life. And that's how I did it for myself as well.
Is dropping gold. I mean, drop some love in the chat, please. I mean, he is. This is gold. This is everything. This is so foundational. Yes, of course, we are, it is so important what we eat, right? But even more important, it's the thoughts that we're thinking, it's the feelings that we're sitting in, most of the time, and it's who we're spending time with, and the environments. What rooms are we sitting in? Where, are you watching a lot of news? Or like, what are you feeding your brain? So I love this. This is so important, such an important conversation to have. Um, I agree. Years ago, and then when the pandemic happened, I got a little re-obsessed with the news, unfortunately, and then realized, yeah, look, a month in, this is terrible. So off it went. Add to your health list, pets. I mean, pets are so great for longevity, and because they're there to just teach us unconditional love. So not it's like so hard to be in a negative space when you're around your pet. And I know you love your dog.
Oxytocin boost. It's like that's the best way to lower stress levels. You raise oxytocin by hugging your dog or cat, whatever pet you have, taking that pet for a walk. And you're right, it's dogs especially because I have three cats and a dog, but I'm more of a dog guy. Dogs, it's no coincidence that dog that's spelled backwards or God spelled backwards is dog, right? It's like
Yeah.
they teach you how to, they teach you exactly what unconditional love is. They don't care how many books you've sold, how much money you made today, what you're dressed like. Like when you come home, they shake their tail. They want to be with you. They want to play. They want to love. And we can learn a lot from that. We could definitely learn a lot from that. I love dogs.
Well said. So, what's next for you? Like, what's on your horizon? What are you thinking about? What are you obsessing over? What projects are you on to? I know I just asked you about 10 questions, but um, yeah, what's next for Ben Azadi?
Yeah, it's going to be to continue the book out into as many hands as possible. Metabolic Freedom. It's cool to see it hit the New York Times list. If you remember at the book launch party, I was like manifesting that.
Said that was your dream and vision for the book, and you, man, if there's anyone out there that I know who's a powerful manifester, it is you, my friend.
I've been reading down. I wrote the goal down 6 months ago. When I have a goal, I write it down in present tense, and I say, "I'm so happy and grateful now that," and I write down the goal. So I've been reading every day for months. I'm so happy and grateful now that my published book with Hay House is a New York Times bestseller. I've been reading it for months. Then eventually it happened, and a week before it happened, I was in Tennessee, Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and I was speaking at an event called Meat Stock. It's a carnivore event. Yeah, and there was a documentary crew there that was doing a documentary on the carnivore diet, and they asked me if they could interview me, and I said sure. And they hit record, and they had everything set up there in the studio, and they said introduce yourself. This is before the book has come out. I said my name is Ben Azadi. I'm the New York Times bestselling author of Metabolic Freedom. And three days later, the list came out. We were on the list, so it's a win for all of us. It's a win for metabolic health because it's a mainstream list. 33 million books, only 10 books each week in that category make that list, and we were one of them, which is super cool. We were right next to Casey Means, and it's cool to just see the message get out to the masses. So to answer your question, it's all about just continuing to get the message out there, more speaking, more interviews, just getting the book into as many hands as possible. That's the goal this year.
And Ben, just so you know, so with my group Zooms that we meet weekly, we're doing your book as our next, like, it's like a book club book. Yeah. Just finished Peter Attia's Outlive, and we're on to your book next. So uh,
Well, to follow Peter Attia, that's some big shoes to fill right there. That's cool. Thank you so much.
yeah, everybody should pick up this book, guys. It's so important. um, Especially if you want to live a long life, because, like, money is a renewable resource, but time on this planet is not. It is finite. It is precious. How you spend the time that you have on this earth, it is totally in your hands. And I want everybody to have a high quality health span, right? Like it's not just about longevity, it's about quality in those years. And Ben has given you a framework for exactly what to do. And and that vitamin G, well, we talked about positive thoughts. That's his chapter 10, right? Chapter 10 about Ben's favorite vitamin, vitamin G, and he's well known for talking about it. Tell us a little bit more about vitamin G.
We might be increasing lifespan in some situations, but our health is in decline and we're not our true personality. We're not able to travel. We're not able to hang out with our grandkids or grandkids. Like there's no point to extending your life if we're not enjoying that life. So the goal is to have, yes, increase in lifespan, but also to your point, Christina, health span, which is the health and the vitality. That's even more important. Vitamin G helps you accomplish both because vitamin G, it's anti-inflammatory. Helps with pretty much any symptoms you might be dealing with, whether it's brain fog, PCOS, diabetes, autoimmune conditions, heart failure, thyroid conditions. You could list whatever the condition or the symptom is, and I could tell you vitamin G will support it and help benefit that condition. UC Davis, I put a study in chapter 10 of Metabolic Freedom. UC Davis has shown with their studies that those who take vitamin G have healthier blood pressure levels, healthier blood sugar levels. Harvard put out a study that was published in JAMA. It's probably the biggest study ever done on vitamin G. I put this in chapter 10 as well, and it looked at 49,275 nurses. What a big study. And it showed that the nurses who took vitamin G had a 9% reduction in dying from all cause mortality versus the nurses who didn't take vitamin G, and a 15% reduction in dying from cardiovascular disease, which is the number one killer, of course, in the US and in most countries. And then one more study looked at the mitochondrial health of caregivers. Super interesting. They used something called the MHI score, which was the mitochondrial health index. It was a measurement for mitochondrial health, and caregivers, we know they live a very stressful life. And the studies looked at the blood work of caregivers in the morning, and it showed that the nurses who took vitamin G at night had healthier mitochondria the following morning compared to the nurses who were never taking vitamin G. And so vitamin G supports the mitochondria, which is the name of the game. For those watching, you're probably looking for an affiliate link and a coupon code for vitamin G, and you're not going to find it because vitamin G is the feeling of gratitude. All of the studies are on feeling gratitude. I used to say the practice of gratitude, but it's not an intellectual practice. It's an emotional feeling. And when you feel gratitude, you get all those benefits. You boost oxytocin, you lower cortisol. It supports your immune system. We have studies from Joe Dispenza showing that. So everybody get your daily dose of vitamin G. It's free. There's no toxicity limit. And the best time to take it is in the morning right after you wake up and right before bed.
On to do it with a statement. How would you encourage someone who's say down and out to activate vitamin G when they're kind of down and out, or they're feeling gloomy about the world or whatever?
Tony Robbins is a big fan of putting your like emotions into it, energy into it, so you could shout it out if you want. What I would recommend, because a lot of people think they hear about like a gratitude list, and that's fine. A gratitude list is fine. I started off doing that in the beginning, um, but you're not going to get all the benefits I'm explaining here if you're just writing down three things you're grateful for, five things you're grateful for, and you kind of treat it like a checklist and move on. There's benefits there if you want to just if you're just starting out, but if you just chose one thing, a person in your life currently, or somebody who's passed, maybe a memory from that person, or something that you've had a success with in the past, a win, whatever it is. Choose one thing, one person, one memory, and live there for a minute and put as many emotions and feelings into it, you will benefit the most doing that. So, for example, if it's a person who's passed on, and of course you're sad about that person being gone, but you have all the memories. So maybe choose an amazing memory with that person and bring it to life as vividly as possible. The person's eyes, the smile, what you were doing in that memory, and live there for a whole minute. And that's your dosage of vitamin G. So that's what I would recommend. If you're having trouble, that is the best way to get your vitamin G.
because um, what you speak about, you also bring about. Like if you're telling a negative story or reliving a negative story, it's like you're right back in it, right? And you can have all those emotions because our brains can work operate in virtual reality a little bit. So it's this exact same thing what you're saying. If you focus in on a person, a place, a thing that you love, or a win that you had, you can relive that moment and those emotions and reactivate them. So that's really powerful advice. Um, uh, oh, I could talk to you all day, you know that. But and unfortunately and sadly, our time has come to a close. But literally, I encourage everybody to go pick up Ben's book, Metabolic Freedom, New York Times bestseller, or gift it to someone that you know needs the gift of health, needs another tool to support them. You know, a lot of people are hurting out there. So please, 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 and Ben, where can people find you?
And then you could find me on my website. It has everything you need, which is my name, benazadi.com is my website. You can find everything on there.
YouTube channel, everyone should be. Oh, my watch is talking to me. You heard that, yeah. So everyone can find Ben also on YouTube, and definitely go pick up his book wherever books are sold. Ben, have a wonderful, beautiful rest of your day, and as always, I appreciate you.
We'll talk soon. Bye.